Here. Hey everyone, how we doing out there today? This is the Flip Flop Investor Show, and I am your host, Todd Baer, the Flip Flop Investor himself. Every week we get together and talk about real estate investing and talk about, these different topics we have every single month. So every month, if you've been following along, we started out talking in January about goal setting, and then in February we were talking about business planning, and then in March we were talking about talking about deal finding, and now that we're in April, we're talking about negotiations. So this is the next step, I guess, in the real estate investors world. But negotiation takes a lot of different forms. So today we have our very special guest is Selena Smith. How are you doing today, Selena?
I'm awesome. Thank you for having me.
Well, you're welcome, and thank you for coming because I know it's a long drive to come from Riverside out here to Redlands to do the taping of the show. So, thank you for coming.
No
problem. So I guess I want to go back. Let's talk about Selena. You're basically our CFO at Community Restoration Group. So you're handling the numbers, you handle all the money, the bookkeeping, the taxes, all the wonderful stuff that CFO gets to do.
Yes.
So how in the heck does that tie into real estate? We're going to find out.
Yes.
But let's go into some backstory so at least people at home and people listening right now can get an idea of who you are and how'd you get into this crazy business.
Okay.
So let's go back a little ways. You were in college.
Yes. Okay. So I went to college at Cal State Fullerton. I went there twice.
Okay. What do you mean by what twice? What does that mean?
I have 2 degrees. I went for once when I first got out of high school. I went starting 2009, graduated with my BS in marketing, and then I went back again basically immediately after that, and I started to work on my BBA in finance.
BBA?
So, yes.
What's a BBA?
A Bachelor's of Business Administration.
Awesome.
Yes.
I should know that.
You should.
For those people out there that maybe don't know, I'm a college dropout, so,
No worries.
I might be smart in some ways,
that
but yeah, I'm not a college guy. I thought I would like it because I hated regular school so much.
Oh, it makes total sense.
I hated elementary school, hated middle school, hated high school. I thought, college is going to be different because it's more elective. I'm there because I want to be, right? Yeah, no. Not the I like the college experience.
Yeah.
Still didn't like the classes and the homework and all the, term papers and stuff like that.
Yep.
Not my thing. So you got 2 degrees. So you have a Bachelor of Business Administration in finance, and you have a bachelor's in marketing.
Yes.
And that somehow qualified you down the road to become a CFO. So we should probably figure out what happened in between college to now.
Okay. Well, I started out in finance basically, ever since I started working. I was doing bookkeeping since I was 18.
Wow.
So, yeah. So, that's always been fun. I actually hated math, to be honest, in high school. It wasn't until I got into my marketing classes for statistics that I was like, okay, I like this. This is fun for me because it's applied math, and now it makes sense, So, getting to sort of see, how mathematics does really apply into the real world brought a whole new perspective, and I'm the kind of person to where once I start liking something I sort of obsess about it.
Okay.
So math sort of just became
so you just had a calculator with you at all times.
Basically.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
If I didn't, I felt naked. Yeah. Yep. It's one of
pretty
those
nerdy.
things. Yes.
But I guess everybody has a calculator on them at all times now because most people have a smartphone and
Yep.
And I use it probably on a daily basis.
I use it multiple times a day. Yeah.
Because I got to figure out, what is 20 minus 3, just stuff like that. Nothing, nothing
17.
too. Wow, she's good. She didn't even use a calculator for
Yep.
that. Wow. Okay. For those of you playing along at home, congratulations if you got that complex math. No, basically though, when we're talking about finances, it's really just mostly plus and minus.
Yeah.
Mostly.
Mostly, yeah.
And so I guess that's what's always funny about math to me in school. Algebra, all this stuff, geometry that you take, trigonometry, I took calculus. I didn't use any of that.
Yeah.
I think one day I used the Pythagorean theorem because I wanted to figure out the size of a computer monitor. So I had to figure out, I knew the diagonal because that's how they measure televisions. Yes. So I was like, so how big is this thing going to be? So I had to use the Pythagorean theorem to figure this one out.
That's hilarious.
I know. That's the one time in my adult life that I used algebra. Or maybe that's geometry. I don't even know. comment us with those comments if you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know where they're commenting, but it's going to be somewhere.
Do they have a forum?
There used to be one. There used to be one on KCAA's website. I don't know what happened to it.
Go check it out.
We had like a screen next to the other TV screen over here that would show like the live feed, but
Oh, that's cool.
I don't know what happened to it. It's gone, I guess. Carlos is like, he's giving me the shrug. He's like, I don't know what happened to it either. He's like, I don't know if we really had that. No. Did we? We had that, didn't we? Yeah, okay. He says we did. But anyway, algebra was, super important. But anyway, plus and minus. That's bookkeeping for the most part.
For the most part.
So you did that since you were 18, working like what was your client, or how, like, what did you do bookkeeping wise?
I've worked for a multitude of different businesses. So like I've worked for service companies, I've worked for sales companies, I've worked for software companies. I've worked for real estate investors. So like I can sort of understand like the bookkeeping from any aspect, including like the entertainment world, like booking shows, profitability based on the shows and what they have to pay out and stuff like that. So I've worked with a lot of different business models doing bookkeeping.
Okay.
For the past 10 years. Wow, it's been 10 years. I'm getting old.
Yeah, super old. Yeah.
Super old.
I know. It's crazy.
So crazy. So, like my background has sort of led me to you guys.
Yeah, so you basically, I mean, you came to us through the Inland Empire Real Estate Investment Club. That's where we first met.
Yep.
Because you came to one of our coffee events.
Yes, I did.
And for those of you folks out there, we'll talk about these events later on. But for right now,
they're amazing.
Wow, thank you. That's quite a compliment. Thank you.
They are.
So you came to us, but you had went to like one of those paid seminar kind of things beforehand,
my goodness.
didn't you?
Okay, let me tell you.
Okay.
My dad and I had this, I don't even know what to call it. We just had like this urge to like get into the real estate world because...
Where did this come from, what do you think? Were you watching like the shows on TV or what?
It wasn't the shows on TV. Mostly, well, for my dad, I think it was, but for me, it was more like the entrepreneurial lifestyle and being able to like get my time back.
Okay.
So my dad, he called me one day and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing on January 13th?" And I'm like, "I don't know, nothing." And he's like, "Okay, just be at my house at like 7 o'clock in the morning." I was like, "Seriously, dude, that's a Saturday. Like, what are you dragging me out here for? Like, what's happening?" So he takes me to this seminar and I'm sitting there and like, I'm kind of hungover. I'm young.
Yeah.
So I wasn't prepared for anything like exciting.
Did you like put on like the business suit or like?
No, I had no idea. Okay, so like the last time my dad was like, "Hey, just get ready and come out." Like we went on a hike for like 4.5 hours. So I was prepared for like any kind of situation that involved like some strenuous activity. No, like we go to like this Marriott in like Newport Beach or something. We're in like their conference room with all of these other people who are dressed up, and I'm there in like jogging pants and everything. I'm like, okay, cool, this is great. So like we're listening to this seminar in regards to real estate, and I'm like, wow, I like this.
Okay.
This is actually pretty great.
How did that, like, what were they talking about that was like, that made it awesome to you? Because, I mean, I've been to these things too.
Yeah. The thing that sold me on it wasn't necessarily what they were talking about their program, because, as you know, like they tell you about these amazing, sparkling, diamond package, $75,000 programs that you have to pay for, right?
Sure.
What I liked the most was that they were like, this is going to give you your time back. Like I'm a single mom, so like being able to have time to be around my daughter is like, that's like my goal.
Yeah.
Like I want to be able to watch her grow and take her places and do things with her, and like enjoy my life. So like I've always been used to like a 9-to-5 or like a corporate Fortune 500 sort of atmosphere.
Sure.
And this was like so different than anything that like I've ever seen, you know? Like it's like you have to be here at 9 o'clock. If you're not here at 9 o'clock, you're gonna get written up. And I'm like, dude, I can't live this way. Like I want to live my life for me. Yeah. And my life. So like,
you want to live to work, huh?
No, I don't. I don't think anybody really does, but so many people get stuck in that mindset, And like for me, like what it did was like it sort of caused a mindset shift. Like I'm a mom, so like my main focus is providing for my child. So like I'll do whatever it takes to do that, you know, even if I have to work a 9 to 5 or anything like that, you know, like I need to be able to provide for her, you know. So I can see, like, for a very long time I had this mindset of this is the only way that I'm going to be able to do that, is to work a job. Going to those seminars sort of put it in perspective that, you know what, like, you just have to be a little bit more creative and risky, you know, and, you know, you take a risk and you jump and you're going to land on something pretty awesome. So that's sort of what sparked the fire for me in real estate investing. Was knowing that if I did this, I would be able to gain my time back and like gain my life back a little bit.
Okay. Awesome. So this was like January of 2017?
2016.
2016,
yeah,
okay.
This was 2 years ago.
So 2 years ago, you're at this seminar.
We went to so many. Oh my gosh.
Oh, you went to more after that then?
Dude, we went to all of them. Like, we went to like every single one that you could think of.
Did you ever win the door prize?
I didn't. I never won anything. I am not lucky like that.
They always send out these things. I used to get them, like, you know, if you the first 50 people will get a tablet, you know. And it's not an iPad. It's, you know, it's John's tablet.
Yeah.
You know, from John's tablet company.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have Android on it or anything. It's just some weird
I never won a door prize. I didn't even know that they had door prizes.
Some of them do. I don't know. I
didn't go to those ones.
But you went to the free ones, or did you end up signing up for any of these, like paying for any of the things?
We had to pay money for some of them. And my dad, he was like, oh, yeah, no, this free seminar for $2,000 each. Okay, $2,000 each. So that's $4,000 out the window for a free seminar.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we sat down with a few of them to like figure out like what are they doing, like what are these packages that they offer. And it was basically like a $75,000 package to hold your hand through a deal.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, there's got to be a better way, you know, like I don't have $75,000 to just be like, okay, sure, hold my hand, you know, like I don't know too many people my age who do. Not
a lot of people do.
No. So
according to some studies, less than 20% of American people would have that kind of money available to them.
Statistically, the average person cannot even cover a $500 like hazard in their life.
Yeah, like if you got a flat tire, most people wouldn't be able to come up with $500. Is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's sad, but that's the reality, and it's because like the way that we work and like the way that we live, it's like we don't think of like the bigger picture in regards to like we have stuff getting done for us. So like you go to a job and you're like, oh, you're gonna get this 401k and you're gonna get this and you're gonna have benefits, you're gonna have that. But, you know, like all of that sounds good because you don't have the knowledge financially of any other option out there.
No, I get to pick the pie chart in the little booklet that they showed me. You know, they're like, which of these pie charts have the colors you like best?
Yeah, the pie chart is going to get you something that you're going to have to pay 15% on if you ever decide to pull something out. Like there's so many things they don't tell you that people don't even think to ask because it's just what we've known since we were born. And it's like...
Well, in my opinion, and, you know, this is, I guess, an opinion right here, but those 401ks are largely invested in mutual funds and stocks, which is all tied to the stock market. So in the event of a stock market crash, which have happened several times, you know, your 401k could get not wiped out, but significantly reduced. And there's no hedge in there.
There's
you know,
nothing.
like because they can't invest in things like real estate with 401k money. So at least I'm not gonna say they can't, but most of them don't.
Yeah.
So because they're usually, you know, with these bigger companies, Merrill Lynch, things like that. And I'm not going to say anything bad about them per se, but it's just that it's in the stock market, it's in the mutual funds.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, there's some risk there. Obviously, there's risk in real estate too.
Yeah, yes.
But,
absolutely.
You know, if the real estate market crashes, at the very least, you have a house.
Yeah.
You know, it's a thing.
And the thing about it too is you can control it. Like, you can control your destiny in this as well. You just have to be like aware of what you're getting into. You have to know the market. You have to be able to understand when is the market going to shift.
Sure.
you know? And I mean, there's so many other avenues in real estate that you can do. Like, real estate's not going to go away, even if the market tanks for buying or selling, you know? Like, there's also renting, there's short-term rentals, you know? There's condos, there's a bunch of other things that you can do, like the tiny homes or whatever. Like, there's so many things in real estate that you can do. You just have to be flexible, you have to be creative, and you have to be resourceful. You can't do that in the stock market when you have other people doing everything for you. Like, you don't have control like you do in real estate.
I mean, you can, but it's, you know, like there are options and things like that you can do with stock market trading. There's some ways to do it, but I mean, for the most part, most people, it's like, oh, I like Netflix, so I'm going to invest in Netflix. You know, like, and that's, you know, that's one way to do it. I mean, over a long period of time, it's probably going to pay out, but who knows? I mean, Netflix could decide, you know, next week that they're going to change to a completely different model and lose half their subscribers or something.
Isn't that what they're doing?
Yeah, and it happened before.
Like everybody is changing. Like Snapchat just changed too and lost like $800 million from it, I think. Something ridiculous.
Well, there's all this talk about social media and how it's going to get changed in the near future. But, you know, I mean, that's the risk, and that's what you run into. With a local housing market, it moves a lot slower. You know, real estate's like molasses compared to the stock market. But, when something changes in the real estate market, it doesn't happen overnight. It's, you know, over a good month or two span that you start to see things really change. So you saw these seminars. You're like, I love this thing. I want to get into real estate investing. Then you found our club. Somehow.
Well, I got tired of hearing for only $75,000 you can learn everything about real estate. And I was like, okay, you know what? Let me do some research on my own and figure out like what else is out there. So I started just Googling things like in real estate investing, and you guys popped up. Like the Inland Empire Real Estate Investment Club like popped right up when I was like investing in the Inland Empire. Like it was just right there, and I was like, okay, cool. So like on Meetup, you know, like I went on there and I'm like, okay, like what's going on here? Like what can I do? And there was like, I saw that you guys had like a club meeting and stuff, and like you had like other things going on too. So like I went to the coffee and I went there with my dad, and I was like, dude, we just need to figure this out. You know, let's talk to people who are like real life in this, not the people who want to take our money for it. Let's see like what this is about. You know, and like I sat down and I initially started talking to Steven. And Tyler. And then you. I think on my second one, I started talking to you.
Yeah, I don't think we talked the first time you were there.
I don't think so. I think I just introduced myself really quick. But we started talking to Steven and Tyler started telling me about what you guys do in regards to like joint ventures for a community restoration group, as well as the club and everything. And I was like, wow, like I don't have to pay money to get into this and like do this. And like, I loved it. So I went back, and then we started talking again too. And like, it's just sort of became this.
This thing. But then we snowballed you into, you want to be a real estate investor and do all these deals. Now you're basically running the finances for every deal we do. So like, it's a little bit of a change.
It's a big change, honestly, but it's a good change for me personally, because the way my mind works is I want to see like how things sort of come together, and like finances for me is a language that I can speak, you know? So like I'm not necessarily good at finding deals, you know? So that to me is like a foreign language. But like when I mentioned like, I do bookkeeping, you know, and like it just sort of started this mutual agreement, you know, like it became awesome. Like I got to see all of the ins and outs of a deal, you know, from a financial standpoint. And that's crucial, you know, because a lot of these people, they don't tell you what it actually takes to get a deal and to, you know, like from point A to point B, and like how to plan for it, and then also how to predict like when the money is going to come in, like what else are we going to have to do, like what am I going to be paying my contractors, what am I going to be paying for utilities, you know, like all of these other things, like all of these holding costs, like it's just this huge behind the curtain thing that like nobody really talks about.
And you watch the show on TV, and you know
they don't tell you anything. They just say, oh, look at how pretty this stuff is, and here's my end numbers, and I'm like, okay, you know, like those numbers aren't really realistic either, because I feel like because they're on TV and they probably do a multitude of deals, like they probably have contracts with people where they get stuff at very low rates.
Sure, in exchange for advertising or something.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, so I feel like that's sort of skewed a little bit, which is why like I've always thought that. So it's hard for me to like those shows really, because I'm like, there's something doesn't make sense here.
They're entertaining.
Like, absolutely.
You know, there's like 50% of it is accurate. You know, I mean, they still do fix up a house. You
absolutely.
know, and they still do sell them. I mean,
and
I know because I've seen them.
And they are funny.
They are funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's entertainment at the very least. But
yeah, absolutely.
I watch them. You know, I watch them from time to time. So I'm also addicted to real estate. So
yes,
you know,
yeah,
it's a problem. But
it's a good problem.
It's a good problem to have.
You could be addicted to worse things.
I probably could.
Like math.
Meth is bad.
Math.
Oh, math. Yeah, I thought you said meth. That's also bad. Being addicted to math isn't horrible.
I know.
There are worse things like meth.
Yes.
So anyway, back to reality here.
Yes.
We're going to talk about, okay, so this show's about negotiation.
Yes.
So I wanted to kind of touch a little bit on, and, you know, people are probably wondering, well, if she's the finance girl, then what kind of negotiation are we going to talk about in real estate? Well, there's a lot.
There's a lot
of negotiation that goes on when you're dealing with the math, when you're dealing with the numbers.
Absolutely.
I know, I mean, this was early, like right when you first came on. I remember I had handed you some utility accounts, and like, we got to get these utilities turned on, because that's a constant for us. Utilities are a pain.
Yep. Yes.
You know, not every city does it the same.
Nope.
Like, you know, not every, well, I think like Edison and like Southern California Gas, they're pretty easy to work with for the most part. But some of these city-run utilities can be kind of a pain. And so, I mean, I remember like, it might have been like day 2 of this whole saga. You were on the phone with like a water company. I don't even know where they're from. Might have been up in the high desert somewhere. And
probably.
Like,
they always give me a hard time.
Like we buy these homes, and frequently there's, you know, people living in them that are not tenants. You know, at some point they're just vagrants that have made their way into the home. And you know, these people they may not be living there anymore when we take possession, but the evidence of them being there is still present. Yep. So a lot of times they'll cut the locks that are on the, you know, the water the water meter. There you go. And so this is in one of those cases where the water tag was cut off, and you know, they're blaming us for it, basically saying we cut the tag because we're trying to steal water, because that's what we do apparently. I'm like,
yes.
And like I remember you were kind of like, what am I supposed to tell these people? I'm like, we didn't cut the tag. Like, like they have no proof that we cut the tag. You know, like, why would we cut the tag? We're calling you to turn on service. Yeah. Like, if we could just cut the tag, we would just cut the tag and never turn on service. So, like, their logic doesn't make sense. So, the negotiation starts. Yes. She won that negotiation.
She did.
But
that was
it's
bad
tough
one.
Sometimes. Like, so
you win some and you lose some.
You do. And yeah, I mean, is it really worth the fight? I mean, we're talking like,
it wasn't like
$50 or something.
Yeah, it wasn't anything big. So I was like, you know what, whatever, just send me the bill, get it turned on, whatever. Like at that point, I just need it done.
Yeah, we need the water turned on, because our guys are going to be there and they're going to get started. So
exactly. Yeah. Sometimes there's no point in wasting that much energy on things. Like, you got to sort of weigh, I guess the choose your battles thing comes into play when negotiating.
Yeah, I think this also applies to children.
It does.
Which you're a single mom. You've mentioned it. You know, you have a daughter.
Yes.
And yeah, there's definitely
4 years
negotiations.
Of experience there.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you're in that 4th year where negotiation is really going to start taking place.
Oh yeah. Yep. We're almost in our 5th year. Basically,
there,
she's going to turn 5 in August.
Going on 15.
My daughter is sassy. Yeah. Just so you guys know, like she is a negotiator. Like, if we could put a 4-year-old on the show, it'd be epic. She would negotiate everything.
She'd get all the cookies and donuts that are in the green room back there.
She would, absolutely.
I didn't even take you in there before the show because we were like just barely got here. But yeah, there's a room back there with food in it that, you know.
Thank you for telling me now.
Oh, you're welcome.
You know,
yeah, it'll still be there when we're done.
Okay, good. We'll visit that later.
Yeah, maybe. So if your daughter is like, I want a cookie, you're gonna tell her what?
It depends. You know, like, was she good that day? Was she bad that day? You know, like, what time is it? You know, like, there's a lot of factors that go into that, you know, like, if she's good, you know, like, she's in school, so if she had a good day at school, she can have a cookie. If she had a bad day at school, if I get an incident report, obviously she's not gonna get a cookie.
But it's not okay. Let's assume it's 9 o'clock at night now, and now she's asking for a cookie.
What do I get out of it?
What are you going
What
to get?
am I going to get out of it?
Because she's going to have a sugar high.
Exactly. Do I honestly, like, do I want my 4-year-old daughter jumping up and down, or like, am I going to take the sugar high and am I going to make it productive? Like, how are we going to win on this? Like, I want it to be a win-win scenario in negotiating.
So you think you could
as
use
often as possible.
You could use the energy she's going to get from the cookie as a means to get her to like clean her room.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Like,
Yeah.
I make it a game. I turn it into something, or I use the cookie as leverage to get it done.
Okay.
So
you can have the cookie once.
Yes, once this is done, you can totally have the cookie, and I'll sit it right here for you.
Yeah.
I'll make it look really nice.
Yeah, and enticing.
Yes, very enticing.
Okay.
Get that done, and you can have the cookie.
Keep
Absolutely.
it in the warmer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm imagining a chocolate chip cookie in this case.
I was
It
too.
would have to be.
Yep.
Yeah. There's no
Oatmeal
other cookie.
raisin, maybe.
Oatmeal raisin.
Those
That's
are
an
my
interesting
favorite.
choice. Really?
Yeah.
Huh. I guess they're all right.
I'm an old person at
An
heart,
old soul.
I guess, yeah.
Just like oatmeal raisin. I mean, I'll
Oatmeal
eat them
raisin.
if that's all that I
They're
have.
good.
You know,
The fiber. It's good
that's
for
what
you.
it is. The
Yeah.
fiber. Yeah. So it doesn't feel quite as guilty. That's why I eat the white chocolate macadamia nuts.
Okay,
You know, 'cause,
got it. Yeah, the
you know,
macadamia nuts.
Macadamia nuts are very good
Good
for
for
you.
you.
Very good.
Healthy, fatty nuts. Very
Right.
good. Yes.
So yeah, eat plenty of those. So the negotiations at home are very very give or take. You know, there's a give and take in all of it.
I feel like when negotiating in anything, whether it be at home or with utilities or with your job or with anything, like, you have to know what you want. Like, you have to have intentions behind it.
Absolutely.
So, like, I wouldn't go into any sort of negotiation without knowing what my purpose is. What do I want to get out of this? What is my purpose here? How am I going to get that?
Okay.
So,
and how do you know what you're going to be offering? So let's shift it over into real estate. You know, you're offering to a seller, you know, cash in exchange for this problem that they have in their lives.
Yes.
This is a problem home.
Yeah.
You're offering them cash to get out of it.
Yes.
I mean, how do you know what their, you know, how you going to get from them what their needs are, so you know how to, you know, properly negotiate and position yourself?
yeah, that's what I was going to say. Positioning is everything. Like, how you present something is everything in negotiating. I feel like you need to have your intentions clear, and you need to be able to position it in a way that's not going to come off like, hey, I need this, so this is what I'm willing to give you. You know, like, you sort of want to position it in a way more along the lines of, like, this is what I'm looking to get. How can we get there together? Sort of thing. And, like, negotiate in a way that's not like, give me everything. You know, like, it's a two-way street negotiating. So, you know, like, you have to make it to where it's going to be valuable for both parties to even want to look at it.
Of course.
So, like, if I was a homeowner and say that I couldn't move out of my house, and I didn't know excuse me, I didn't know how to, like, really get out of there. I didn't have the money to get, like, a moving van or anything like that.
Yeah, you don't know your options.
Yeah, like, if you were to come to me and be like, hey, you know what, we'll move you out. That's not a problem. You know, like, we'll pay for the movers. We'll get people in there. We'll move this stuff out for you. No problem. You know, and no extra charge to you. I'd be like, you know what? Sold. Awesome.
Yeah.
But it's all about how you position it to where,
Sure.
you know, like, if that wasn't positioned that way, I feel like it would be more of a struggle to get that resident out of that home.
Sure.
If it was more along the lines of, hey, we need you out by this time. I'll give you $1,000, figure it out. You know, like, that's not really going to get you anywhere.
No.
So you really have to have, like, your goals defined. You need to have your intention, and you need to know how to position things correctly so it's appealing to the other person.
Sure.
You know? Chess.
That's why I guess, you know, when people are applying for a new job, right?
Yes.
There's, you know, you can go to a bunch of different places and you're going to get different offers from every
Yes.
single one of them. Some it's just money in exchange for work.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we're going to pay you X dollars an hour.
Yeah.
And you're going to do this work. It's a
Yep.
full-time thing, whatever.
Yes.
Some people it's going to be like, we're going to pay you this much, plus you get access to the gym at the office. You get access to the this and that.
Yep.
And the pay may not be as much, but you're getting all this other stuff to go with it.
Yep.
And you sort of, you know, depending on where you are in your life, you're like, wow, I could kill off my gym membership, and, you know,
Yeah.
whatever. It's,
Absolutely.
you know, yeah, you're going to weigh all those things. So, and we do offer moving services a lot of times
Yeah.
to sellers
Yes.
because it is kind of a hassle. I don't know
Yeah.
if I'm sure people out there have moved before,
Oh, yeah.
especially if you're in like a big house, like
Yep.
that maybe you raised your family in, and there's a couple kids that
Yep.
are no longer living there. You still
Yeah.
have a bunch of their stuff.
Yeah.
Like what are you gonna do with all this stuff?
Exactly.
And we'll take care of that too. I mean, we've bought homes practically fully furnished with all the stuff in them. And those ones are, for me, I'm like overwhelmed when we take those ones on. We had one in Riverside we got not that long ago that was like, they had like all their books there, like family photos, like and they're just like, we don't want any of it. And I'm like, okay. Like it's weird when you're going through the stuff. You're like, man, they didn't want to keep this, and they're like, we don't want to hear, we don't want, we don't want any of it. We took everything we wanted already, and I'm like, okay. It's just like, what do you do? I mean, these are like family photographs, and I remember like one of them, like it was like the guy's dad was a picture with like some government official, like somebody from back in the day. I want to say it was like Dan Quayle or something, but like I'm like, wow, okay. So
Some people don't want those things.
It was just a burden. The guy that we bought it from, he lived in another country, over in Europe somewhere, and he didn't want to deal with it. He didn't have any time to deal with it here. He just said, you know what, I'm going to give you this house for super cheap. Just take it off my hands. I don't want to deal with it anymore. Yeah. And, he had all the stuff he wanted. So I'm like, okay.
Yep.
But just for him, it was just a fact. Other people offered more money than we did.
Yeah.
But he took our offer because we were going to make it easy for him.
Yeah.
Because that's what he wanted. That was clearly on his end, that's what he wanted, was ease of transaction.
And that's the majority of the time. Like, a lot of people, like, me included, like, I don't like to have to, like, work that hard to get what I want, I mean, who does?
Yeah.
So that's just the reality of it. I mean, like,
people are lazy. You gotta be kidding. That's not real, is it?
It is. It's the reality of things. So, like, if something is going to be presented to me and it's like, I'm going to make your life a little bit easier, awesome. I want it. So that makes perfect sense. And like, I don't want to say like it's lazy. I feel like it's just priorities. So like, because I'm not necessarily lazy. Like I do work hard, and like I am present in everything that I do.
Right.
But like if there's something that's a low priority to me that like I know sort of needs to get done, but somebody's going to take care of it for me, I'm like, for sure.
Absolutely.
Do it. How much do I have to pay you? Okay, it's done.
Yeah.
Like, cool. I don't have to worry about it anymore. That's amazing.
Sure.
So it's just like an easier quality of life is like so attractive. So
like we're going to pay you $9 an hour, but Mondays are pedicure Mondays, Tuesdays or whatever. It's just like every day you get something, that you'd be doing anyway. You get your car washed.
That'd be amazing. Yeah. It would kind of counteract each other too, because pedicures are kind of expensive.
They are expensive.
Yeah.
I've seen yours. You have the ballet slipper manicure going on right now.
They're cute.
Yeah.
Yep.
We talked about manicure colors earlier in the day.
We did.
In case anybody out there is like, how did he call that one? Yeah, we talked. You said your nails are ballet slipper. That's the color.
Yes. Yep.
And you chose that over the sparkling pink, was it?
Sparkling champagne, I think is
sparkling
what it was
champagne. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they both sounded like something I wouldn't get personally, but that's cool.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, maybe maybe on I don't know gender bending day I'll do it, but I don't even know if that's a real thing.
So fab.
So fab. Okay, so identifying people's needs is a key part of negotiation. I'm glad you brought it up because I was talking to Tyler last week. He never said it, and like it dawned on me later, we never really touched on it. So identifying a seller's needs or identifying really the other person's needs in the deal. I mean, for a child, it's fairly easy. I want a cookie.
It is.
Like,
it's so easy.
There's nothing else beyond that.
Yeah.
Usually, it's not until they get to like teenage years that there's ulterior motives associated with it. Yep. So for right now, it's simple. I want a cookie, and you say, okay, in exchange for the sugar I'm going to have to deal with for the next 2 hours, you got to clean your room or whatever. Yep. Do the dishes, laundry, etc.
Yes.
That makes sense. Sellers are a little more complicated. These are grown-ups,
and
their problems are a little more. Sizable. So, calling out all their little problems and figuring out how to fix them seem to be the way to go.
Yeah.
And drawing out those things is the tough part.
Yeah.
Because they don't always want to just tell you, here's all my problems.
Yeah.
Just write a list out and pick the ones you want to take care of for me.
Yes.
So, how do you draw that out of somebody?
You just have to be able to talk to somebody. Like, One thing that I struggle with is I am very cut and dry. I'm very forward because I'm very fact driven and like I'm very methodical with what I do. So like me sitting down and having a conversation with someone, or like me trying to negotiate, takes some skill and it takes some practice for me, just because like I'm not born with that, you know, like I'm not born as somebody who's just like, oh hey, like let me just talk to you, like I don't have that. So for me to draw it out, like I start just being nice. Like you get more with sugar than you do with salt, honestly. You really do. So like just try and be nice at first.
Okay.
You know, but
so
also going back to it, have your intentions clear. It is so important to know exactly what you want to get out of the deal, because you like nice and firm are two different things.
Yeah.
So being nice is crucial, but like you also have to know exactly what it is that you are going to need in order to make this happen as well. So you don't want to compromise too much in that nice phase, but like you want somebody to be able to open up to you, you know, and like you want to be relatable, like, you know, like we all have a story, we all have a life, you know, like we all have struggles, nobody's perfect. So, you know, like just sort of realize that when you're talking to somebody, and be real, be nice, be open to somebody, and they're going to open up to you and let you know, like, this is what I'm struggling with.
Yeah. And for us, I mean, our intention going in is fairly obvious. Like we're looking to buy the home and fix it up, resell it. That's what we're doing. We're going to flip the house. I mean, that's what we do. But we don't necessarily go in there and tell them that straight off, right? I mean,
absolutely.
It's not that we're, you know, trying to be deceptive or anything like that. We're just, you know, trying to establish what's going on with them, so we have something to go upon. Yes. Because if they're not struggling with anything, if you know the house is not a problem for them, they have no need to sell. They're not going to sell. Like it doesn't matter what I mean, I'm sure there's a price. There's always a price, right?
Yeah, but not in
I'll
our
buy it. $1 million cash tomorrow. You know, like they'd be like, sure. House is worth $250. Yeah. I'll take $1 million.
Right.
You know, you might even be able to convince me to take $1 million for my house right now. So
I would do that, honestly.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
We'll get the paperwork drafted up. It'll be great.
Okay.
So that was easy. That was an easy negotiation.
Yes, it was. Because my property value is way below that. So I'm coming out with something smart.
Okay.
So that's why that would be a yes.
You know, some sellers do that to us where they're like, they'll say something like, yeah, you know, you could buy it. I'm selling it for $1 million or something. They'll tell us something like that. But a lot of times it's actually a good thing that they reached out, because it starts a conversation for us, you know, and I'm not going to say that we've bought many homes with people that had that expectation going into it, but I think a lot of them, you know, they may have like put their property up for sale at one point on like Craigslist or something, or maybe they had it listed with a real estate agent and then they decided not to sell, and it's now a expired listing in the MLS, and people call them, you know, because they've assumed since they wanted to sell their house at one time, maybe they still do. Yeah. So they they sometimes come out with this thing because they're just tired of talking to people. Yeah. You know, they'll say, "Pay me $1 million, I'll sell." You know. And,
yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's evidence of a lot of people not trying to establish their situation beforehand. Absolutely. And it's a shame. I've dealt with people like that where they're just jaded. Absolutely. You know? And I know a lot of people, like you'd see them like when foreclosures were really high, when there was a lot of foreclosures going on, you'd talk to these sellers and some of them were very defensive at their door. Absolutely. Because they're, you know, they're not, they've already been approached by 100 people already. Yep. And they're like, I'm so sick and tired of people coming to my house. You know, in some cases they were in denial, which was a problem, but, you know, in other cases they had it all figured out already, and people were still bugging them about it. Yeah. So, yeah, it's fun. Yeah. That way.
It's a wild ride.
So, negotiating with utilities and like sometimes with contracters, yes, definitely falls into your realm. Yep. Because that's another side of it that we didn't touch on with Tyler either. Last week, we when negotiating with contractors, it can be a very crucial thing because we might go in. When we walk a house, we don't always bring our contractor with us. Yeah. You know, sometimes we're like, okay, we could do this for $50,000 or something, you know. Yeah. And then you go walk it with a contractor, and the contractor might come back with a much bigger number than that.
Yes.
So, same thing, I guess, would apply, right?
Yeah. I feel like with a contractor, like with a deal, I feel like you need to have your expectations, and listen to them, because they obviously build houses, so they're going to know more than you. But also, like, if it's not in the budget, you need to be ready to negotiate, and let them know, you know what, this may not be a home run. This may just be like a second base sort of deal for you right now. But, like, what are your other clients giving you? Like one home run a year, when I'm willing to give you like 10, 15, 20
base hits.
Second base hits.
Wow, we're doing second base hits. Nice.
Well, you need to let them know that there's value in this too. Like, if they can drop the price a little bit, you're going to give them more business.
Sure.
Like if they're going to give you something when you have a budget of $50,000 and they're going to charge you $75,000, like, try and get it down somewhere around 60, to where like you're not breaking the bank on anything. Neither one of you are, but like, you both have an understanding, like, this is what I can do, this is what I can't do. So, but this is also like, I want to build a relationship with you. If this is good, this is where it's going to get you. You might not get a whole bunch of $75,000 ones. You might get $20,000 or $30,000, $60,000 ones, but I mean, who else is bringing you that?
Yeah. And that's, I think, I've met a lot of contractors, and it's for them, obviously homeowners, they can charge more. Yeah. But they're also inconvenienced more as a contractor. Yeah. So there's a trade-off there. Yeah. Like, when you have a homeowner that lives in the home while you're trying to work on it, it means you got to clean up at the end of the day, take all your tools, put them away, or put them back in your truck or something. With a vacant home, when you're working with an investor, you can leave your tools right where you left them and come back the next day and pick it up where you left off. Yeah. There's a risk there in doing that too, because sometimes people break in and steal stuff, but there's not a homeowner in the way. You can show up at 6 in the morning if you want to get started that early and work until 10 o'clock at night, and nobody's going to stop you. But so there's a kind of a trade-off there, just in convenience. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be done only on the weekends, and
it doesn't.
Sometimes that's a problem, because the contractor's like, I like my weekends. I would like to spend that time with my family.
There are people too. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So there's a trade-off, and I get it. Homeowners, sometimes accuse contractors of gouging, but I don't think they understand the difference.
They don't.
And like, you're really inconveniencing them. Yes, it's their business, but
they're people too.
Yeah,
they have kids, they have families, like, they have plans on the weekends, and they're taking time out of their day to do something specially for you, to fit your needs.
But that's a negotiation.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a negotiation for us, because we're like, hey, we're giving you a vacant home.
Yes.
You have carte blanche. You can go in there and do whatever you want.
Absolutely.
Just make sure it's legal, and
Yes.
if you guys are going to drink on the job, please just put the beer cans in the trash before I show up.
Right.
Like, come on. Oh man, that's so bad. They all do it. It's so bad. I'm like,
I know. I grew up with contractors.
We fire them now. It's we don't even put up with it anymore. We're just like, you're gone. Like, come on. You think our workers' compensation insurance is going to be happy to find out that you were drinking when you got hurt?
We're a business.
Yeah.
We are a business. We operate like a business. This isn't a hobby. So
no,
nothing gets treated like that around here.
No, unfortunately. Yeah. And then the whole, because weed got legalized, so all of a sudden they're thinking, oh, so weed's legal, so we can just smoke weed on the job.
No,
I'm like, no, what do you think?
If it's going to impair your functionality on the job, don't do it.
I know.
Don't do it.
I don't even know where they think these things up. It's crazy.
I don't either. It's odd.
Yeah. And even worse, if like you show up and they offer it to you, you're like, really?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. It's happened
to me. Oh man, I don't know what I would do in that situation.
Well, I would
not negotiate with them. That's for sure. I'd be like, "Can you get off my property now? Thanks."
That's pretty much what happens now.
Yeah.
It's like
that's not something you negotiate.
No,
don't.
No. Yeah, it's like I'm not gonna afford to like have you get hurt because you're high or drunk or whatever.
Yeah, no.
Some people, I don't know. Maybe they're just better in their own minds if they're a little bit high.
Of course.
I don't know.
Of course.
But they So, but there's also things you can offer to a contractor to make their lives a little bit easier. You can say, hey, I have a generator. I can put it on the site if you need it.
Yep. Yes.
There's ways you can kind of bring their prices down sometimes. Like I have a guy, he's a runner. He has a truck. He'll go pick up all the tile. You don't need to do that. I have a guy that can do that for you.
Yeah.
We clean up every job. We have a guy that's devoted just to demo and trashing out a home before we get started. So every contractor that walks it, they're walking it as a blank slate. They're seeing it with none of the trash in there, none of the stuff that needs to be demoed still.
Yep.
So that's where we get bidding, and it's usually a lot less from what we found. Because initially, if they have to factor that in, like hauling away all this trash, taking away all this demo, their prices are like much, much higher.
Yeah.
Because that's not what they do. They're not demo guys. They're the ones that put it back together.
Yeah.
So, the whole demolition prices I've seen from some of these guys, I'm like, that's like 3 times what I'm paying my other guy to do it, because that's all he does.
Yep.
And he loves it.
Yep.
Because, like that for him is easy. He doesn't know how to build them back together.
Yeah, exactly.
So, it's great.
Specialization is good, especially in real estate, because there are a lot of contractors out there. There's not a lot of good contractors out there, but there's a lot of ones who specialize in things. So getting to know like concrete guys and pool guys and electricians and plumbers and stuff like that, like getting to know people who specialize in these relative fields, like I feel like that's beneficial too.
And how would you find a good contractor, you think?
How would I find a good contractor?
Yeah, like if you were to find one that...
I would call my dad.
Yeah, your dad knows a bunch of people. But it's a referral, and I was kind of getting at that. Like, most people probably at some point if they own a home, have had to do something to the house.
Yeah.
And, that person has probably worked many other job sites and probably knows many other contractors. Yep. And, you could talk to pretty much any contractor. They can tell you who the good contractors are. They know. Like they know that.
You can tell too.
Of course you can.
Like I walked a house with my dad, and he was getting bid. My dad's a plumber, by the way. He owns a plumbing contractor's business, so that's why I understand contractors a little bit. So we were walking this house, and this guy, he came in, I think a Geo. Do you ever remember?
A Geo Metro, like a little hatchback
thing? Okay, no tools, no nothing. So
that's just
he's
his
coming
estimator car.
And this is for plumbing, mind you, plumbing. Okay.
Yeah, where you need the long pipes.
Pipes are like in the walls, like under the slab. Very rarely they're like in the roof of a single-story house. So that doesn't make any sense. Like drop downs normally come from like a 2-story. I'm rambling, but this guy takes a ladder and goes up into the attic. Right? He's looking in the attic for what? For what? Like, we're there for plumbing.
The
like,
vent pipe, I guess. You just want to make sure it ran through the attic into the roof.
Yeah. Okay.
Like it's supposed to.
Right? But no, he was up there for a while, and we're like, okay, like the whole rest of the group just left because we're like, like we have to walk this house. We have other things to do. And we come back, and he's nowhere to be found. That is a bad contractor. Don't deal with those guys. Just don't.
What was he doing? Setting up shop up there?
I have no idea. He was just gone. Like, his ladder was gone. His car was gone. Everything was gone.
He just decided?
Obviously, he didn't know what he was really doing. So he just took off. And we're like, wow, okay. Like,
well, that's interesting.
That's great. I know. But, like, you can sort of tell, like, the good contractors versus, like, the bad contractors, too.
Yeah.
Just based on like how they act and like just paying attention. Also, like when you ask them questions and like you try and get a feel for like who they are and like what they've done, like it's sort of obvious.
Yeah, and I've met a lot of guys that they're like they're good at a lot of stuff in their minds, like they think because I've done some drywall, I'm good at it. And because I've done some framing, I'm good at it.
Yep.
But that's not always the case. I mean, sometimes they are actually good at something. I remember one guy in particular, he was really good at laying wood floor. Of all things, he did it very, very well.
Okay.
And very cheap, which was also kind of nice because I had him do a whole house in Corona, and he did a fantastic job. Excuse me. But he was also, a stair guy. He could put in like banisters and staircases and stuff like that. That was the worst staircase I've ever seen. Like, he did a horrible job on the stairs. And, like nothing was tightened down. I'm like, what kind of staircase banister should wobble. I don't understand why you think this is going to be acceptable. And so it's hard to like tell a guy like, I'm not paying you for this. I know you spent all this time doing it, and yeah, there's a lot of material you've now placed here and spent your money on, but I'm not paying you for this.
Yeah.
Fix it or else. I mean, like like I can't pay you for work that was terrible.
Okay, so
and he was really he didn't like that.
Yeah.
He thought I should pay him because he spent his time on it.
No.
And I'm like, that's not. I didn't pay you for a broken staircase. I said we need to have a stair. I guess I was a little out of line thinking that a stair, banister should be not wobbly.
No, no.
That's apparently what he thought. So we had a little bit of an argument, which ultimately he did get it fixed.
Good.
But
so you won that negotiation.
I won that negotiation, but it's kind of like because I'm holding the money.
Absolutely.
And he wanted to get paid for it. And it's like, if you want to get paid, make it right.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do. If you got to spend a little extra money, you're just going to make a little less.
Yep.
Sorry, you screwed up.
Yes.
You shouldn't have told me you were good at this.
Yeah.
And so he doesn't anymore.
Good.
We have worked with him since then, and he doesn't just say he's good at something.
Good.
And he doesn't just decide to make his little craft projects on our houses anymore.
Good.
So, yeah, he...
it's not a good time to experiment on your skills. No.
And there was another guy. It was actually on the same project.
Oh, no.
He was a cabinet guy. No, I'm sorry. He was a framer, and he was pretty good at framing. But he also told me he could do Venetian plaster. So we were going to do this Venetian plaster ceiling in the kitchen.
Oh, wow.
And, yeah, he starts doing it. I think I show up on the job site, like day 2 of him doing it. And I'm like, hey, that's not Venetian plaster. Whatever you're doing up there is not what I'm thinking. And, like... he's like, of course it's Venetian plaster. And he's like trying to show me this video on YouTube about why it's Venetian plaster. And I'm like, oh my God, that's not Venetian plaster. I'm like, let me just type in Venetian plaster into Google. Let's see what comes up. Hey, and lo and behold, it's nothing like what he's doing. And I'm like, this is what Venetian plaster is.
Oh, wow.
This is what it is. Look at it. And I'm like, hey, here's like 17 YouTube videos showing you how to do it. And I'm like, don't worry about it. I'm going to get somebody out here to do this right. You stick to framing. So, good framer. He now lives in Oregon.
Okay.
But good guy. Just not a good Venetian plasterer.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's fun. Oh my God, it's getting late. We got 3 minutes
left. Oh, wow.
So we're trucking right along. That means we should probably talk about the club a little bit. We broached the subject earlier, but we didn't really get into it.
No.
You found us through the club.
Yes, through Meetup.
Through Meetup.com.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Through Meetup.
The Inland Empire Real Estate Investment Club.
Yes.
So for those of you folks out there that are listening in and are wondering, how do I get into this business? How do I meet people that are doing this stuff? How can I meet the right contractors? How do I learn negotiation directly from people? Come to the Inland Empire Real Estate Investment Club.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. That's a resounding yes.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, everything that I have done working with you has been a incredibly fulfilling and valuable experience.
Wow.
That's genuine. I'm not paid to sell.
I know, like, man, is this a negotiation about to happen to me? Are we gonna get off the air and now I'm gonna be like, okay, so pay up, chump.
Yeah. A raise is needed. No.
Yeah, definitely.
No, I mean,
feel the same way.
Right? I know. No, but honestly, like working with the Inland Empire Real Estate Investment Club, you get what you pay for, and you don't really pay for anything. Like it's like a very knowledgeable group of people who aren't there to showboat or to gloat or to be like, oh, look at how cool I am in my Ferrari. Look at me making $5 million this year doing what? No, like we're real people who are doing this every single day who see it. Yeah. And like we genuinely want to build a better community and to help people. Like it's a genuine place. Like, and I love that.
Collaborate. I mean, that's
absolutely
like most people that are getting into the business need a mentor, and that's what people in the club like to do. They like to mentor, and they split deals with people. Like we do it too. We joint venture with a lot of new folks, and it works out great. So go check out the Inland Empire Real Estate Investment Club on meetup.com. We have a big meeting every 4th Wednesday of the month at Loft 84 in downtown Riverside. We also have a coffee meetup the Saturday before that. Mm-hmm. And we also do a cash flow game, which is a game from Robert Kiyosaki. Very good game, teaches you creative ways to do real estate. So that about wraps it up for us this week. I want to thank Selena for coming on.
Thank you for
talking
having
about
me.
negotiation, and we'll see you all again next week, Thursday, 4 p.m. on the Flip Flop Investor Show. Have a good week, everyone. Take care.